Hi, everybody. Dr. Gustin here. I want to go over the lecture study guides and using the ebook to complete the lecture assignments. So when you go to the week one module, and that's the week one scientific method, this is the last module you'll be using this week. You will see the lecture study guide. So all you're going to do is click on that link. Decide how you're going to use that document. Are you going to write the notes right on the document? Then you might need to add some spacing. Or are you going to use another sheet of paper to write the notes on that? So either way, you're going to need a hard copy of your lecture study guide. Have a 3-ring binder that you're able to put that in. Once you have that, you're going to go down here to the lecture assignment, and this is where you're going to end up in Connect, the McGraw-Hill book. Now notice that with this lecture study guide up here, it says Word document. And so that tells you what it is. When you're in this lecture assignment, it says external learning tool. So that tells us we're going into Connect. Also remember that I left these places where you can put little check marks for when you've completed the activity. So you put a check mark after you've printed that. So you're going to click on here and go in there. Now, mine looks a little bit different than yours, so I just put it up here for now, so I can go right to it. And I went to the wrong thing. There we go. So once you click on that, it's going to look something like this. And what you have is right here, it tells you that there's a loose leaf option for that ebook. I know a lot of people have issues with using ebooks. The one thing is textbooks have gotten so much better at formatting them so you can read them on your phone or read them on a computer, that it's a lot easier to read a book than it used to be. But if you still want a hard copy of the book, you can click here and you can buy a hard copy of the book for $27. That being said, you will still be using the ebook, or what we'll call the Smart Book assignments, because the questions and the assignments are attached to that. If you want to look at the entire ebook, you can click right there, but you're also going to see the sections you're working on when you go to these assignments. Finally, over here it says recorded lectures. I will not be posting recorded lectures there. Any recordings that I do that have lecture material, I will post them on Brightspace. So here you go. Here's the first week one lecture assignment. So you're going to go over here and it says SB, which is Smart Book. So I'm going to click on that arrow and bring us over to the Smart Book. I'm going to click down here to begin. If you get to this page that starts talking about the concept of recharge, the idea is once you've completed this assignment, the assignment is still available to you. All the reading and all the quiz questions are still available to you. And so you can use this site to study for tests and reinforce the material. It tells you down here that once you have already submitted your quiz in the first place, your nothing will be recorded if you do the recharge. You can take the quiz again, but it won't affect your initial grade. Look down here at the bottom and it says start reading or start questions. The questions that you're going to answer are the questions that will give you credit for the lecture assignment. And so in order to get the questions right, you got to do some reading. So let's go to start reading, and it brings you right to the textbook. And what you're going to need now is you're going to need that lecture study guide. And you'll notice that the first thing, the first bit of information, textbook information on your lecture study guide says section 1.3, Science as a Process. And so I got that title right from the textbook. Here's your learning outcomes. We may do we'll do some of those. Sometimes we'll do all of those, but you can see that there. Whoops, what did I just do? And what you're going to do is you're going to work your way down here. So if you look on your lecture study guide, the handout you printed out, number 1 under 1.3 says describe the general process of the scientific method. So it talks about that up here. You'll notice there's parts that are highlighted, and they're probably the most important parts, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't read some of these other parts. So we're talking about the scientific method, so that's something that you should read. And notice these go yellow if I go over them, so that's saying, yeah, you need to know that. And so you're going to read that section and see if you can describe the general process of the scientific method. Notice that there's a nice figure here that talks about it. It gives you a lot of description, and then it goes over all the steps of the scientific method: observation, hypothesis, etc. Now, one of the tricks is going to be how much of this information do you need to know? So lean on those questions in your study guide. You only need to answer those. If there's additional information, you don't need to know that. The other thing that can really help is in the study guides, I have a list of vocabulary words. So you'll notice that scientific method is one of your vocabulary words. So you can make sure that definition either ends up on this sheet or ends up on the paper that you're taking notes. And I remember that was up here. There's scientific method, and you can get the definition there. The next word says observations. So it talks about observations here. It talks about observations down here. And so you're going to use, that's one of your vocabulary words. Notice it goes yellow when I go over it. Objective and subjective observations, they actually happen to be up here. But all the vocabulary words on your sheet are actually things that I got out of the textbook. So they will all be there. Once you answer get the first question in there, it says the second one says distinguish between a control group and an experimental group in a scientific test. So as you read through here, you'll be able to find that information, and it should be pretty much in the order on the lecture guide as it is on here. So you'll look through here and you'll see if you can find that information. Follow all that through, and then you'll notice at the end of the section it says check your progress 1.3. So let's look there. It says check your progress 1.3. And what I do on the lecture study guides is you might not need to know all of these. So the ones that I want you to know, I wrote on there. So I did say you should be able to answer 1, 2, 3, 4. And so you can just do these for fun, just to check yourself. Describe each step of the scientific method. And here it tells you right there. You can do it, but you can, and you can quiz yourself, but it also gives you the answer. Explained why a controlled study is an important part, and it gives you the answer there. But try to answer it yourself, and then see if you get the answer right. So the final thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the questions. And that's different than these check your progress questions. The questions in this activity, in these lecture assignments, are what we call adaptive learning. And what that means is if you get the concept right the first time or the second time, they'll give you just a couple questions on it. They won't give you any more questions. They'll say, yep, you understand that. If you get questions wrong on a certain topic, they'll say, they're getting it wrong. We'll give them a couple more questions. And so it's just a way for you to get practice while you're kind of taking a quiz. So if I look on here, here's a question. Interpretation of the data from an experiment will lead to and I happen to know, I think the answer is conclusion. I'm going to interpret the data, and that would give me a conclusion. Now you look down here, and it says, how confident are you? And I'll say, I'm kind of medium confident. And then it will tell you, oh, you got that correct. And it gives you information here. Like why is a hypothesis the wrong answer? And it goes on, okay? So the program now knows that you understand that concept. So you go to the next question. And, multiple select. So select all that apply. It asks you a question based on the concepts that you covered, and check all the ones that are right. What level is your confidence? These things are kind of handy for me as an instructor to see what areas are students having problems with and what can I help them. Now, if you say, gosh, I didn't read this section about H. pylori, guess what? You can go right back to the reading. and you can read that section and go back and try to answer that question. So there's that section on H. pylori. And now I can go back to the questions and answer the question. Now what you're going to do is you're going to keep answering questions until there's no more questions. And what they will do is ones that you got wrong will reappear. And so what you want to do is you want to look at the ones you get wrong and figure out why you got them wrong and try to learn that material. The material in these questions and in that reading will be the material that I will test you on. Your lecture assignment grade depends on what percentage of the questions you completed. And a complete question is one that you got right. If you get a question wrong, it's going to come back again later, so you'll get a chance to get it right. The only way you won't get 100% on the lecture assignment is if you don't complete it. If you study enough and you get the questions right, you'll actually have fewer questions than somebody who didn't study and has to retake lots of questions. So I recommend studying and using the questions to reinforce what you know, and using their description of wrong answers to help you understand, oh, why is that a wrong answer? And what it's going to do is going to help you understand these objectives that I have on here. Hopefully you get that. You can exit out of it and come back later. It won't start all over. It will start right where you stopped. So it's really user-friendly. I hope it's fun for you. I hope it is a great way for you to learn this material. So good luck, and let me know if you need any help.